That is Aretha Franklin and Respect here on Manx Radio. As you can tell, I do have a studio full of guests chatting away in the background. I keep saying, I'm going to talk now, I'm going to talk now. They're just having far too much fun. Basically, lots of wonderful people representing the Isle of Man trad and folk scene here on the Isle of Man. Because this coming weekend, so a week yesterday, it will be the Isle of Man Traditional Music Weekend, and there is stuff going on in various pubs around the island. Lots of lovely music. So I've got Kirsty with me, I've got David with me, Susan, Mary and Paul as well, and they're all going to give me a little bit of information about it. I'm going to come to the ladies in the middle first. So we've got Susan and Mary, and Mary, it's not the first year this has happened, is it, this music weekend?
No, I think it's probably going about 20 years, because it started out as a house party in Laxey with the Knight brothers when they came over, and Andrew Knight had a party in his house and they invited their friends over, and then it became friends of friends and more friends, and there was a lot of friends. So the house party then, and then Andrew was unwell, so we decided to take it to a different level, so we moved it into Douglas out of Laxey, because we started one of the times we started in Laxey and it was just too big for Laxey. So
too big for Laxey. I mean, that's saying something, isn't it? Oh, I like that. That must have been like the best party ever as well, if it was just growing and growing year on year.
Yeah, that's how it was happening.
Oh, so much fun. Because I think when it comes down to it, Susan, this sort of music is just so much fun, isn't it? And the energy behind trad music and folk music, it is a party, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. It's really, I think it's very exciting because you don't know who's going to turn up, and you don't know, people are playing together who've not played together before. People will know the kind of core tunes, but you're sort of, it's very dynamic in that way. It just happens, and it's it's unexpected in all sorts of ways. Unexpected things happen, musically.
I'm sure they do. You see, so you don't want to miss this next weekend. So, how long have you been on the island for?
I've been here 26 years, but I've only really gotten involved in the trad scene in the last 8 or 9 years. I did play trad music before in Ireland, but I hadn't really made the connections here until around then.
And so what did you find? How did you find it then, the difference between the scene here and the scene back home?
I think it's more concentrated here in the sense of, there's O'Donnell's, there's the Mitre, there's sessions in the Manor, and there's Colby. And I suppose there's a kind of a very distinct scene around all those, and there's particular kind of, and some of them are Manx sessions primarily, but there's a mixture really. So it's lovely really, because it is like a kind of a family, and a community, and you stick around it, because in Ireland, I suppose in Dublin, you could move around a lot of different places. When I was younger, we'd be in different pubs, and you didn't have to stay around the same musicians. So it's really lovely in that sense. I think it's a very close community of musicians.
Yeah, it does seem like it. And Mary, is that your kind of experience as well since being here? Did you play back home as well?
No, I only started playing when I came over here.
Nice. So you've only known the Isle of Man trad scene.
No, I played when I was a kid, and then I'd stopped altogether. And I actually met John Caneen.
Oh, the famous John Caneen.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh, there's music over here. You're from Ireland, you must play something." And I said, "Well, I used to play," but he said, "Bring it over." And then I did bring an accordion over, and they said there was a session in Laxey, and when I went there, they'd moved. So it took another while to find out where they'd gone to, but eventually, yeah.
Follow the sound of the music and the dancing. That's all you need.
And the singing.
And the singing, exactly, yeah. Well, we're going to be finding out much more about the scene and about next weekend. That is the latest one from Wet Leg. I love the fact that Susan is with us in the studio this evening. Said, I really like Wet Leg. Knows everything about them, which is just marvellous. You've got a good varied taste in music, haven't you, Susan?
I have. I read a lot of reviews trying to recapture my youth.
You are young. You're young.
Who's in now, so I can kind of keep up, with my 22-year-old daughter.
Good on you. Well, we've got. Don't worry, we've got Self-Esteem coming up for you as well. So yeah, some good tunes. However, we're now going to have some live music in the studio, aren't we? What are you going to play for us with your fabulous group of musicians then, Susan?
So we're going to play 3 tunes for a set, and it's Made Behind the Bar, an Irish tune, and in the middle, second tune is Unisec Vona, Manx tune, and the third tune is The Silver Spear. So here we go. Oh,
lovely. Well, get yourself set, and in the meantime, I'll make sure we're going to try and get this recorded on video, so fingers crossed it all works for us. So our group of musicians, you don't have a group name because you're just part of the scene, I suppose, or do you have a group name?
No.
Okay, so just representing
trad music on the Isle of Man.
And doing it very well indeed. All right, lovely folk, take it away. really makes you want to dance. And I'm guessing that is what happens when you have these sessions, isn't it, Susan? People just get up and dance on the tables and all sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. They really, you see some funny scenes. At the last one in 2019, we had Sir Norman's then, but it's closed. We can't use it this year. And there's some fantastic scenes of big burly blokes with a few scoops in them, they had obviously had a few pints, and all self-consciousness was gone, and they were just doing some great dancing. There's something about big burly blokes dancing and with these tiny little steps. It was really funny scenes,
Oh, I love that
throwing
idea.
themselves around, and also some Irish dancing, some Manx dancing. We'd loads of Manx dancing actually on the Sunday. The last time we ran this in 2019 in the Prospect, it was Dave Kilgallen's brother and John. And there was a set the Manx dancers came along with Dave Collister and did loads of dancing and all afternoon really. So
I love that when you basically get a bunch of people together who've grown up with Manx dancing. They just know the moves and they just sort of join in, and they're all doing the same moves, and it's just fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really great, really great.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out much more about how you can enjoy this fabulous music at the weekend, because it is the Isle of Man Traditional Music Weekend. So more from these lovely folk in just a few moments. However, it's a new single by Self Esteem. We're just calling it Wizardry. There is another word at the front there, but I'm not going to say it because I'll get into an awful lot of trouble. Right, we are joined by members of the Isle of Man's fabulous trad folk music scene here on the Isle of Man. We've got Kirsty, we've got David, we've got Susan, we've got Mary, we've got Paul with us. David, I'm going to come to you now. Just give us a little bit of an idea of your background in music then here on the Isle of Man.
Well, I started playing in folk clubs in my teenage years then, but it wasn't until about 1982. Greg Jochen started Perry Bain. Remember that?
I remember Perry Bain.
And we used to meet, and they didn't have any musicians. That's where I started to learn Manx music.
Still going strong, aren't they, Perry Bain?
Oh, yes. Yeah, still going strong. But it was only about 15 years ago when I started to more determinedly learn Irish tunes as well, because there is some crossover with the stuff that we have, the traditional stuff here, and Irish tunes. So anyway, I've tried to pick up and learn tunes occasionally.
You're looking at Paul here. Paul,
no, I was looking at Mary because we were talking about what we were going to play today, and I said, well, I don't really know that one. So,
but it does feel like once you've sort of got the general gist, I see people just basically jamming together that have never played these tunes before, which astonishes me every time. Can you do that?
You can.
To an extent.
You can to an extent, but I think when you come into a radio station, you generally tend to want to play what you know. But no, you're right. I mean, there are sort of elements of tunes that are the same in one tune as another, and it's sort of interchangeable in that respect. So once you know a load of tunes, then it's easier to pick them up because you've got already got a start point.
Yeah, and it does seem like the musicians over here are very welcoming, very encouraging, and very helpful to each other.
Yeah, I think we do tend to be like that. There's no real room for any antagonism, and nobody really wants to go out and be antagonistic anyway. And if anybody comes over and has an instrument, we had some people in the Mitre last night in Ramsey, and a fella brought his Scottish man from wherever, can't remember, but he had a fiddle and he joined in a few tunes, didn't he, Paul?
I love
yes,
that.
So,
so you can do that, and like you said, I think because each of the sort of Celtic sounds, the Gaelic nations, their music, there is that crossover, isn't there? So much like the language in a way, so you can sort of kind of hopefully get an idea of where it's going and sort of join in, which is good. And that is what's going to be happening this weekend. There is going to be a lot of trad music going on from Friday onwards. Mary, there's stuff at various places around the island, different pubs, isn't there? And you were saying that, we were talking before about how there's some good pubs that are already supportive. What have we got going on from Friday then? What's going to be happening?
Well, actually, because it's so popular, people are coming over on Wednesday and Thursday. So we've had to include those. So they're not on our posters, they're not on our advertising, but we're at the Black Dog Pizza on Thursday.
Fabulous. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, so that's around 7:30 start, because I think they have to finish early, like 11:30. We're in O'Donnell's as usual on Wednesday, because there's some people over on Wednesday. And then on Monday, again, it's not on the poster, like they don't want to leave ever either, so that's another thing. So we have to have a leaver session to get rid of them. And the guy that you've got coming up here anyway afterwards, Andy, has kindly offered to open the pub for us.
That's a Quids Inn.
At Quids Inn. So
Yeah.
Quids Inn will be open on Monday morning from 11:15
Oh my goodness.
to accommodate the people who are still here
And just can't stop playing.
and can't stop playing.
So
Yeah.
where are people coming from then?
We've got people come from. We've got this. I think we've got 19 people on the Belfast flight,
Amazing.
and we've got 15 or 16 on the Dublin flight. We've got somebody coming from New York.
My word.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Some melodeon player from New York, and then there's a Scottish contingent. So, and we've got Welsh contingent,
Fabulous.
and then Bristol, Liverpool.
This is quite the logistical effort, really, isn't it? Susan,
Yeah.
this must take quite a while to put all this together.
Yeah, I mean, Mary always says there's a template because when you've run it before. But of course, things change, especially during the pandemic. Places closed, and anyway, there is there's a lot to think about, because I guess some of us go to these kind of weekends, trad weekends, in Ireland or England, and there's a welcoming there, so we would like to make sure people feel welcomed. So a friend who we've got a minibus and can pick them up at the airport, and the Welbeck are involved, and so it's about and he brings them around the island. People see the island, they love it, they come back sometimes on holidays as a result. So it has got a lot of other features to it, So so we just try and because there's so many people, we feel we want to make sure they get fed and watered and transported here and there and everywhere that they can get to play.
And it must be lovely for the musicians here on the island as well to have that opportunity to play with musicians from other places.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really great, yeah. And so that's why there's a variety of different pubs, and they probably who are involved on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and they probably, sometimes during a session that would go on all day, it will start to become a little sub-session. Maybe there'll be a lot of banjos or accordions or fiddles, or so that it can take on a kind of different quality.
Yeah.
So we would hope that would happen, and people will move between, like O'Donnell's 1886, and then we've got the Rovers Return, which is a real, we always say, like an old boys pub, but it could be an old girls pub or anyone, but it's kind of got that old quality that you would see in, you associate with traditional sessions.
And there's workshops as well though, Mary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about the kind of gigs themselves, there's workshops too.
Yeah, we decided to have some workshops because, well, you get some funding for that, because otherwise we're funding it ourselves. We've got some help from Visit Isle of Man. They've helped us with the minibus, which is a really important part because so many people to pick up and drop off and tour around. Culture Van have helped us with the workshop. So we have a set dancing workshop, which I'm hoping that Dave Collister, if you're listening, I want all your set dancing people to come down and take part, because we need people to come down for that. And then we've got Eileen O'Brien. She's a lecturer at Limerick University in musicology, and she's like an amazing fiddle player. Her father was like this amazing accordion player, and she's remastered his stuff on a CD. So it's old Paddy O'Brien tunes on a CD, which she's doing a CD launch, a film on the life of her dad. And then she's doing a tune workshop, which she's going to teach some tunes. And even though Eileen's a fiddle player and a piano player, this tune workshop is open to all instruments, and that's her choice. She wants to teach the tunes. She's not going to restrict it to fiddle players or... so the tune workshop, that's on in Tower House. It starts at 2:00.
That's on Saturday.
On Saturday.
And
So
we
it's-
have put a list of all of this on our Facebook as well.
It's on
and of course, you
Facebook,
can
yeah.
find it by searching for Isle of Man Traditional Music Weekend. All the details are on the pages there. There's so much going on. And not just from Friday, from Wednesday.
From
Which
Wednesday.
is brilliant. The musicians here are going to stay with us a little bit longer. And I think we're going to have another tune from them as well. So don't go anywhere. But in the meantime, so we've got David, we've got Kirsty, we've got Susan, Mary and Paul in the studio. Susan, before we hear your final set then, we know that the trad weekend starts actually on Wednesday, so it's a rather long weekend, which is a good thing. But you want to encourage as many people from the island, local musicians, to get involved as possible, don't you?
Oh yeah, we'd really love you to come down. And you know, there's people come to O'Donnell's who haven't played the fiddle in years. One girl came a few weeks ago and she says, "Oh, I'm going to come back and start playing again." So if you've got fiddles or whistles or melodeons or banjos, just dust them off and come down and have a go. Yeah, we'd love to see you all there. Thanks.
Go on,
Can
Mary.
we just mention the main venues again from the Fridays? The Friday is the Manor and the Bridge. Saturday is O'Donnell's, 1886 and the Rovers. And Sunday is the Prospect.
So turn up at those venues, bring your instrument, get involved, or your dancing feet.
Oh, your dancing feet and dancing shoes. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Cool.
what are we going to hear now then, Susan?
We're going to a tune called Jackie Coleman's, and then the Bird in the Bush. The Mountain Road. I'm sorry. And Craig's Pipe. I'm really sorry.
Do you know, if I knew more, I'd be able to say, "Oh, that's wrong." But do you know what? You could play anything. I'd enjoy it anyway. So it's I don't know the names either.
Okay, sorry about that.
Listen, Guramayu, thank you so
Guramayu.
much for being with me this evening. It's been fabulous hearing you and finding out all about the festival, which starts on Wednesday. Just search for Isle of Man Traditional Music Weekend on Facebook, or check out our Facebook page. You'll see the details on there as well. But now, playing us out, a fabulous scutch of wonderful musicians here in the studio. Take it away, everybody.
Thanks.